Welcome to the Honest Dog Breeder Podcast with me, your host, Julie Swan, where each week we dive in to discuss all things dog breeding so you can build a breeding business you love, producing dogs that fulfill their owners' dreams. I believe you can have an honest dog breeding program that also pays the bills. So throw those pods in your ears while you're cleaning kennels. I'd love to join you. If you've ever dealt with parvovirus, you know it's the worst. It is by far the worst thing I've ever dealt with in dogs and puppies. It is relentless in how it takes over their system and has nearly 90% fatality in puppies. One summer, I had my puppies on concrete each day, enjoying the fresh air, and I had given them milk replacer as a bit of a treat that week. They were weaned, but what pup doesn't like milk? Well, it turns out flies like them too. Flies had landed in the milk replacer and died. 7 days later, my pups started getting the lethargy, the long stare into space, the drool that is clear and stringy hanging from their mouths. Their stool got looser and looser, liquid that went from green to brown to pink, with some being red. They stopped eating, got dehydrated, and either whined in pain or went silent. Neither felt right. It's nearly impossible to sleep, any kind of sleep, when your puppies are sick like this. I was devastated. I did my best with giving fluids subcutaneously, and my vet only allowed me to drop off 2. I distinctly remember showing up at the clinic with 4 sick puppies in the back of my SUV, and she looked at them and looked at me and said, "Pick 2." Granted, it was the office manager, not my vet. My vet would never have said that to me. She'd have found a way to take them all. I got the call 24 hours later that they weren't improving, and in so much pain that she recommended euthanasia. My 2 at home weren't faring any better, and they passed shortly after. It's so painful as a breeder. You think you're doing everything right, but these things still happen sometimes. Why does it happen? First off, there is a window of susceptibility with standard vaccinations. When puppies consume colostrum from their mother the first few days, they receive a passive immunity. Essentially, they get some soldiers from mom's immune system. While they're super strong soldiers, they do die out, and they aren't capable of teaching the puppy's immune system how to make more. This is why it's considered passive. Around 5 to 7 weeks of age, those soldiers are dying out, and they are no longer strong enough to fight off an active infection. So if the puppy gets parvo in this window, which will be slightly different for each puppy, they will get an active infection. However, and this is the thing that sucks, the standard parvo vaccines are a lot weaker than the actual virus. Not just because they can't replicate, but because there isn't a lot of virus in them to trigger the immune system. This window of time where the virus is too strong for the mother's given passive immunity, but her immunity will still wipe out the vaccine, is the window of susceptibility. This is when puppies get parvo, even with breeders who are seemingly doing everything right. I had thought I had it all sorted out. I had the puppies at a new location, no parvo. But then someone wore shoes and spread it in the new place. I was again sick to my stomach, thinking I have no safe place for my puppies. And then I found NeoPar, a parvo-only vaccine from a company, NeoTech. I had heard about it before, but I couldn't believe it. NeoTech explains that their vaccines, designed specifically with breeders in mind, were designed to bypass the mother's immunity, where the vaccine can then mingle with the immune system and create a response. NeoTech explains that this is due to having a higher vaccine mass inside their vaccine. I'll be honest, I didn't believe it. How could they make a vaccine that was strong enough to do that wasn't dangerous? Yet, here I was with another round of parvo, and something had to change. What did I have to lose? According to NeoTech's own research and testing, they were able to give puppies at 3 weeks of age their vaccination, and 90% of the puppies gained protective immunity from that single vaccination. It's crazy to give a puppy a vaccine at 3 weeks. I'm with you. Mom's immunity is way too strong at that time to need it, but it was something they did just to prove the efficacy of their product. If you have parvo in your area or on your property like I do, the recommendation by NeoTech is to give the NeoPar vaccination at 5 weeks and again every 2 weeks. In my experience with Parvo at my property, I have seen that my mother's immunity on my pups protects them until they are usually a few days older than 6 weeks. This is why I give all my puppies the vaccination at 6 weeks of age. Interestingly, my puppies tend to sleep for 2 days after receiving their 1 vaccine for NeoPar. I can tell it's really changing their systems. It works and they get immunity. Since using NeoPar, I have not had a single case of Parvo. It may be controversial, but for those who are interested in minimal vaccination protocol, I have tested it and the single dose at 6 weeks seems to be enough for life. I've had puppies get that single dose and then run around in my yard where there is an active Parvo, and we still haven't had a case of it since using it. I'm also grateful that, unlike most other vaccinations for dogs, there isn't any mercury in these vaccines. They have another one for distemper and a combo one called NeoVac DA2, and that covers distemper and 2 strains of adenovirus. With NeoPar and NeoVac DA2, the dogs are covered for 4 of the 5 things in the 5-way vaccination. It's just missing para-influenza. I'll be honest, I sleep better at night now. I used to get anxiety during those last 2 weeks while the puppies were in the window of susceptibility, especially since they were all spoken for at that time. Now, I sleep like a baby. I'm not worried, and I'm so grateful for Neotech for making a solution I can stand behind. I will mention that this is not a sponsored episode. I have never spoken to the Neotech company. I decided to test it and share my story. I've been fully using Neotech vaccines for 18 months, and I couldn't be happier. If you buy your vaccines at Revival, they are available there and reasonably priced. It comes in a 10-dose vial or an individual flat of 25. It's worth mentioning that many veterinarians are unfamiliar with this vaccination and the company and will likely not carry it. I hope this helps a few of you. It tackles one of the big 4 problems: Parvo, Giardia, Coccidia, and worms, like roundworms, hookworms, and whipworms. For the other 3, I use Moom, Magic Oregano Oil Mix, that I created, and the herbal dewormer I've created, which is Swan Essentials Perfect Log Herbal Dewormer. Good luck, and I hope you get back to sleeping like a baby those last few weeks. Thank you for joining me for this shorty episode on the Honest Dog Breeder Podcast with me, your host, Julie Swan. Parvo is one of those things that I feel if you have a solution, I had to share it. And so this episode was merely sharing what I can now confidently say works. If you found this episode helpful, please tap that like button. It helps me better understand you and supports the channel. If you're a current or aspiring dog breeder, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel to be notified when new videos come out. Thanks.